everyone, it's Laura. Today I'm going to show you how I make this really pretty little bow. I have a red one here too, just to give you an example of some different colors. So I need to make a bunch of these for an upcoming project, and so I figured I would just pause for a moment and show you how I make one so that you can see. So today I'm using my little Stamp Perfect. I have a piece of paper on top of here because the glare from the light is blinding, and so that's why that paper is there. But I have my Stamp Perfect here, and I have 4 different colors of ink because the stamp set that I am using, which is this one right here, hopefully you can see that, it requires 4 steps. So there's the base step, step 2, step 3, step 4. Now this stamp set I got from AliExpress. I do know that that is basically a knockoff of another product. I do know that this set, but I think in a different size, but I'm not entirely sure on that, is by AlteNew. So I have down in the description of this video, I have the link for AlteNew because I do know that they made this stamp set and that AliExpress is selling a knockoff of it. So I bought this stamp set before I realized that it was a knockoff. So I will have on my description the link for purchasing this at AlteNew. So anyway, here's my stamp set. It does have a set of dies that you can use to cut these out. Here is one of them right here. I again bought the die set at AliExpress, and I do know AlteNew has die sets that go with their stamps. One warning: if you purchase your stamp set at or on AliExpress and then you want to purchase the die set, make sure you buy the die set from the same store as the stamp set, because different stores have these in different sizes. And so if you buy the stamp set from one store and the die set from another, there's a chance that this will not match up with your stamp. So that's just a little heads up there. But I do strongly suggest you get these from AlteNew because they're the ones that created this, I do believe. So this is the stamp set I will be using. I do have the die, but I am not going to use it. I'm going to fussy cut it out. The reason being, let me set that aside, is like, for example, this one right here, the die set gives you that pretty white border. I don't want the white border for my upcoming project, so I'll just fussy cut it out like I did with this green one. So I won't be using the die today, but I wanted you to know that they are there and available for you. So that's what I'm making today. When it comes to layered stamps like these, this is step 1, step 2, step 3, step 4. Basically go from the darkest one to the lightest one. When it comes to your ink that you're using, go for step 1 to be the lightest color ink and the last step to be the darkest color ink. And I would, before you actually do it on your project, I would definitely experiment and test out the colors and the layering and all of that first before you do it to your project. It does look out, it does turn out really cool looking, but just to make sure it turns out the way you want it to, definitely do an experiment and test it out. Another tip that we are not going to do today is if you take one of these layers and when you stamp it, also heat emboss it, it will give it a little more of a 3D kind of feel to it, or a more realistic kind of look to it. So that's just a tip. I'm not going to be doing that today. This is exactly what we're going to make today, is this right here. So I have 4 colors of ink. I have Momento bamboo leaves. I have Simon Says Stamp Hybrid ink. This is Evergreen. I have Umbrella Crafts Avocado. And I have Versafine Olympia Green. So those are the 4 colors that I'm going to use. Like I said, starting with the lightest and going all the way to the darkest. And I've already experimented with this. That's what this is. So I know how it's going to turn out as long as my stamp press works. I tried this on a different type of stamp positioner, and I was having a whole lot of trouble. So we're going to go with my tried and true, very dirty, very messy, very loved, well-loved Stamp Perfect. This is my favorite. So I'm going to try my best to keep everything in view, and I'm going to try very hard not to blind you with the glare. I'm sorry about the glare. So let's get started. So I'm just going to use this piece to make it. See how dirty it is? I know I need to clean it. I'm just going to put that down there. And I'm going to grab step one of my stamp. And I want to make sure I can keep track of some particular section of this. So when I go to the next couple of steps, I can line it up. So I'm going to go with this little doohickey right here. Actually, maybe I'll go like that. There we go. So I'm not worried about wasting the paper. I'm just going to plop that right down in the middle. Pick it up right there. And start with my lightest ink, which is the Momento. Now, with cheaper stamps especially, some inks are not going to stick very well to the stamp. It's going to bead up and create little splotches. Because this is a layered stamp, I'm okay with that, because splotches are not really going to be noticed too much. There's that. Here's another little tip for making sure you get a decent impression, because you can see it's splotting. And there's some spots that aren't going to, with cheaper stamps, there's some spots that are just not going to connect up with the paper well. Take a paper towel or a hand cloth or something and just kind of use that to rub everything around. And you're going to get a little bit better of an impression. Okay, so see all the splotches and everything. I'm okay with that. Like I said, it's not going to show too much, but I'm going to go ahead and do a second impression of this particular stamp. There we go. Get that all nice and inked up. Now, I am one of those people who puts a whole lot of pressure. I don't know why. It's just, even if I get a perfect impression, I still feel like I need to press really hard. Alright, let me clean my stamp off real quick. Right here like that. I know it's all dirty and messy. That's okay. What this is one of those car washing chamois things. I got it from Walmart or someplace like that. They're really big. They're meant for, washing and detailing your car. And so it's, it's really big, so I cut it down into manageable sizes. Can be thrown in the washer machine to clean it off. I love it. It's like a super cheap alternative to some of the stamp cleaners available on the market right now. And it's relatively the same thing. Alright, so I'm going to go to step 2, which is this next darker one. So give me that stamp. And I'm going to line this up as best as I can. And you want to take your time when you're lining it up. So I'm going to pick that up. Okay, and now I'm going to go to my next darkest color, which is the Simon Says Stamp Evergreen. I'm going to ink that one all up. Put it like that. Okay, where's my little paper towel? go. Isn't that nice? So let me ink, or not ink this up. Let me clean this off. Another thing I like about this is it's double-sided. One side has texture, so it's really good at scrubbing. The other side is nice and smooth. Go. Take this one off and put it back on the sheet. Alright, step 3. So we did 1, 2, now we're going to do 3. Okay, pick that stamp up. Now we're going to go with the next darker color, which is my Umbrella Crafts Avocado. I don't know why I over ink things, I just do. I think I like the squishy sound to it or something, I don't know. So put that down. There like that. Ooh, we're starting to get there. Take this and clean this all off. See, that's why it's so dirty. Because I use inks that tend to stay for a very long time. So there's that. I'm going to take this one off. Put that back on my sheet. Right there. Alright, and now we're using the last one, which is this one, which has the least amount of contact with the paper. And this is our last step. Alright, let me line this up. It's hard to see without your head directly over it. I hope I'm lining this up okay. But you definitely want to take your time when you're lining it up. And usually your head will be directly over it, but I want you to be able to see what I'm doing. So yeah, and not look at the back of my head. Alright, so got that one on there. Now we're going with our darkest ink. This is Versafine Olympia Green. And it'll be the absolute darkest. There we go. Take this, do that. Make sure I got a good impression. There we go. It's a little bit off, but it's not too bad. Okay, so that's all of the stamping part. Now I'm going to show you another little trick that I learned. Or not learned, but kind of figured out here. Okay, so you see my outline is kind of, it's not lined up perfectly. Let me just bring this up here so you can see. So it kind of goes outside the outline here, and then there's this white gap in here and there. Now, this might be okay with some of you. For some people, it might not be okay. And you might be like, ugh, I gotta do it all over again. I can show you a little trick that will work if you are going to fussy cut this out. If you are going to use the die so that it has the white border around it like this one does, then it's not going to work. Well, it'll work. It's just you're still going to have the fuzziness outside the line. But if you're going to fussy cut it out, I'm going to show you a little trick on how to fill in the little white parts, like the white parts right in there. So let's do that real quick. Let me close this up and set it aside. There we go. Now I am going to take probably this one right here. This is a Dove blender. you can use different kinds of blenders. It doesn't necessarily have to be this one. Or you could take like a paintbrush. For example, like this is from Artist Loft. It's just a thin little paintbrush. Actually, I think I want one that's a little bit thinner. Like this one. So this is Artist Loft as well. This is a 20/9, I think is what it says. It's a flat shader. Anyway, just take a tiny little brush, or if you have a blender pen, that'll work as well. And grab a block. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to take the lightest color here, and I'm going to smush it right there like that on the block. And so for one of them, I'm going to show you how I do it for one of them. I'm also going to get a little bit of water here so I can get... This is just a bottle of water. I'm going to get my brush a little bit wet here. I'm just going to take a little bit of this, and I'm going to come into this little white area here, and I'm just going to fill that in ever so slightly. Just a little bit. Okay, you don't want it too wet because then it will start to affect the rest of the stamped image. But it'll just fill that in, nobody will even notice. So there's that way of doing it. You can also do it this way. Let's go ahead and do that. So let me just pick up some of this here. See, now my tip is nice and green. So when I write, see, it's that color. So very, very carefully come and fill that little white part in. Right there, like that. And now to get the ink off of here, you just color and scribble a little bit until it goes clear again. And now it's fine. So either way works. But if you have any little white spots within your images because the outline was just a little bit off, that's how you can fill it in. So go ahead and show you that up close. So it's not, you know, perfect, but now nobody's going to notice that white space. So now what I'm going to do is I'm just going to go ahead and fussy cut this out. First, real quick, I'm going to clean the ink off of my block so it doesn't stain my block. There we go. And get that out of the way. And pick up this water so I don't accidentally set it all down in there. My brush a little bit. Okay. So now I'm going to fussy cut this little guy out. I have my, these are Fiskars little micro trimmer things. You can use any scissors you have. It doesn't have to be anything all that special. As long as you are comfortable using it and it works, that's all you need. So I like having a smaller piece versus a bigger piece. So now I'm just going to start cutting this out right along the outline. So that last stamped image that we did, that gave it the dark outline, I'm going to cut right along that, and that will take away all of the extra outside. So I'm just going to go ahead and do that. I hope I'm in view, but I need it kind of angled towards me so that I can cut this out. I see a little bit more white here. I'm going to go ahead and take care of that right now. There we go. So I'm just gonna move this piece back, scribble this off, there like that. Okay. Top back on there. All right, back to cutting. there we go. And now we have our pretty little bow. Alright, so tell me what you guys think. If you enjoyed this video, please hit subscribe and like the video. If you have any questions or comments, I would love to hear from you. Leave me a comment below, or you can contact me on Facebook at Scrambled Crafty Brain, and we'll talk to you later. Thanks, guys. Bye.